Episode 89, Killing Your Victim Mentality.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
And there we go. Episode 89 of the very best podcast in the world. Your only source in the universe for personal supremacy through health, wealth, and happiness. Now, where do I begin? Well, first of all, does anyone have a victim mentality? That's, very difficult for someone to figure out by themselves, right? Because you're you, and the way you live is your decision, right? But the victim mentality in itself is kind of like this vicious cycle, which you jump into maybe at a stage in your life, and then you're going to have a very difficult and hard time to get out of it. That's, I think, the point. And one of the most critical, or the most critical thing, is to be aware that you are in this cycle and that perhaps you are stuck there. And unless you get feedback from the outside world, meaning friends, meaning family, meaning, coworkers, colleagues in the club that you're in, whatever, and reflecting, and this is the most important thing, is actually reflecting upon this feedback and determining whether you are in parts or, in total, in this victim mentality spiral or cycle or whatever it is. So this is where it gets interesting. And this is where, of course, if one of your friends who is extremely positive, for instance, lets you know that, hey, I think you're, kind of playing the victim here, right? There's no need to reflect upon it. You can take it into consideration, but there's always going to be some asshole nagging at you, bitching at you for being, a negative person, right? Because for whatever reason, let's not go down that road, because the reasons are plentiful. And usually if it's one person telling you that, you can, take it into account, but don't start investigating yourself and your persona as to whether or not you are, in this victim mentality, right? And so what this episode is going to be about is helping you identify symptoms, whether you are actually in this victim mentality cycle, and how to kill the symptoms. And I think, that's one of the very most important things, is to take action. And that's one of the first things actually to come up in these examples I've kind of laid out, and to which I will give you the direct countermeasures, if you will. Let's take military speak because it's so effective. No, seriously though. So let's get started. Number one is, if you are someone is in this victim mentality cycle, they're going to be avoiding responsibility by making excuses, right? Couldn't do it because I felt bad. Couldn't do it because whatever. They're not in the position, right? Forgive them for it, because they have adapted to this model because they were able to get away with it, right? I couldn't take out the trash because it was snowing. Therefore, the trash truck came by, didn't take out our trash can, therefore we have a problem next week, right? the correct answer to that and to yourself, maybe if you're one of these people for yourself, is to say, shit, I forgot to bring out the trash. I'm sorry. Therefore, we're going to have a problem next week. Shit, I'll do better. That's the correct answer. And I'm one of these people. For a lot of reasons, I drive my better half insane and have driven my parents insane, and probably a lot of other people that have been working with me, because a lot of times I'll catch myself, it's about awareness as always, but I catch myself trying to wind myself out of situations. Well, yeah, I'm responsible. Fuck. Okay. So you might as well, just try and just get it done immediately, by saying, instead of making an excuse for why you didn't do something, take responsibility and say, yeah, fuck, sorry, did it. Won't happen again. I'll work on it. That's number one. Number two is that someone stuck in the victim mentality mindset is that they will be focusing on the problem while not seeing the solution, even though the solution might be just, hands and arms length away, right? But they won't see it because their mind is so fogged with focusing and celebrating the problem and glorifying it, that they'll have a very, very difficult time actually seeing the solution, as simple as it might be. So first of all, you have to become aware that there is a problem without having your mind clouded by the problem itself, right? There's this beautiful saying, or this beautiful quote. I think someone posted it on the internet. Women have a problem for every solution, something along those lines. It's quite sexy, but sexist, but it's, women are more often in that position. I don't know why I didn't go down the psychological route, but, try and take this into account. So the awareness of the problem, being aware that there is a fucking problem, is the first thing. Now, you can either go down the route and have your mind clouded by the problem, celebrating it, emphasizing it, glorifying it, or you can say, okay, bam, here is how am I going to solve the problem? And a few days ago, I made an episode called Allow Me to Take Away All of Your Problems. So it's about one of the important things, sorry, I got ahead of myself there, is really redefining and reframing that it's not a fucking problem, but it's actually a challenge. And when you manage that, go back to that episode, listen to it, right? So if you manage to reframe in your mind that you're actually not dealing with a problem, but with a challenge, and the result will actually make you grow and, give you experience, right? Then you're going to be in a totally different position. So, it's not about focusing on the problem. It's really about finding a solution and finding it quickly. That's the other important aspect. Number three is believing that there is nothing you can do about a situation, right? And fact of the matter is, there fucking is always, always, always something that you can do pretty much about any situation, right? To improve it. Number one is, of course, always the reframing bit. You could be whatever, in jail, or your house just burned down. But at the end of the day, you're alive and you're healthy, and you've got so much to look forward to that, believing that there's nothing you can do is actually going to eliminate all of the possibilities that you have, right? And if you check the possibilities in any situation, there is, like I said, pretty much in every situation, there is something you can do about it and you can improve it. So that's another thing to really take away. Number four is negative self-talk by people who are, stuck with the victim mentality mindset. And that, of course, again, takes awareness, right? You have to be aware that you are talking negative to yourself, right? So what can you do about it? What can you do to alter the situation? A few weeks back, I dropped a pot of flour, which was, this glass jar that we have. I don't know, it fits about 3 liters. Like what is that in gallons? I have no idea. Close to a gallon. I dropped it in the kitchen on the tiles. Not only did the glass break because it was full of flour, so there were north of 2 kilos of flour in it, or what is that in pounds? I don't know, what, 6 pounds? No, true, not true. 4 pounds, 4.5 pounds. So I dropped this glass jar in the kitchen, and not only did I have flour everywhere, it was like the glass splinters had gone everywhere. And we have a pretty huge kitchen living room setup, and so they were everywhere. Under the carpet even, and I was like, God damn it! How stupid was I to actually, try and lift that jar or jug in a way that I shouldn't have. But I was smiling about it, right? Because what would it have brought me to talk myself into a negative mindset about it? What would that have achieved? I learned my lesson with slippery fingers, and whatever. I'm not going to pick up the glass jar of that size because I kind of defeats the purpose, right? But with a smile on my face and positively reinforcing what I was, the mess I'd made it very easy. I got the vacuum cleaner, cleaned everything up. 10 minutes later, it was gone. Now, other people I know would have gone totally apeshit, about themselves and about their stupidity and about, what they could have done to prevent it and whatever. And that leads you further down this negativity rabbit hole, right? And if you want to catch up on that, there is an episode called Living a Life Without Negativity or something like that. And that's something really worth listening to. Positively reinforcing, smiling about situations is actually a way out of this negative self-talk thing. Next is frustration because, quote, the whole world is against you, unquote. And while, that's a comfortable way to think, it's not the truth. Sorry, hands down. Most of the world is neutral. And, if you show up and you're a happy camper, they're probably going to be more positive towards you than, if you run in there with a frowny face and trying to, domineer your way into the position. And I have rights and that kind of BS, being positive about things and having a positive attitude and mindset. Again, go back to the negativity episode. Really increases your chances of solving a challenge in a positive way. Any challenge that comes towards you. And last but not least, there is the... hold on. I have to take one step back. I forgot a very important aspect. Taking things into your own hand. That's actually the solution to the frustration bit. It's like there are very few problems in life you can't solve by yourself, right? If you run into a challenge there, and you have enough ingenuity, you can figure out pretty much any situation by yourself. Just this stupid thing. We had a swing set in the backyard and we got rid of it, but there were these concrete foundations holding it in place. And I had taken the angle grinder and sawed off the swing set from the from the foundations that were there. And these things were so heavy that it was very, very difficult for me to grab them by myself. But I didn't want to wait. So I had to put them in the wheelbarrow, take them away. And I tried multiple times lifting them, but to no avail. I couldn't move them. And then, I just thought that, let's give it one last shot. And so, I took the wheelbarrow, put it up against it and then kind of flipped it inside. So what I'm trying to say is you don't necessarily need help. If you pay attention in life and you've got a little bit of background in physics and chemistry, and you did pay a little bit of attention in school, and you are good at picking up things, there's really no need to have anyone around to help you, because that would make you reliant on that person. And what are you going to do when that person's not there? Right? So you might as well, do it yourself, learn it yourself. If you have, an aversion against something, there's some of the elderly folks out there that have a difficult time working with all of the IT things that are out there. Teach it to yourself, get somebody to help you understand it. And it was like with my dad. He had a very difficult time with a lot of IT issues. And then he would always call me, and I was busy and, a lot of times on the other end of the world. And sorry about that. And so at the end of the day, I just taught him extensively how to use Google, and the frequency of calls has, decreased significantly. They were welcome opportunities to talk to each other. But at the end of the day, it's you can teach people so much more by helping themselves than to actually helping them. You know what I mean? And that's really what the solution to this frustration thing is about. The frustration that the whole world is against you, because hands down, that's bullshit, right? So last but not least, now we'll get there, is the unwillingness to fight for what you believe in. And this is very important. You've got a lot of people nowadays that are a flag in the wind. Depending on the direction the wind blows from, they're going to take that opinion. And these people are suckers, right? Because it takes a lot of courage to stand up against opposition, more than, just swaying into the direction of that the pressure is coming from. And I get it, it's more convenient, but once you've established your position, you're going to seriously bleed credibility if you move away from that position, at least in front of someone that is serious about, working with you, or, it's very difficult for them to take you seriously after you've done that repeatedly. Again, it's not about that you've been proven wrong and then still standing by your position, right? That's not what it's about. It's about, if you have a position or if you have an opinion and another person has another opinion, stand by yours. Not in a polarizing way, like in this fucked up world that we live in right now, right? Don't defend it until your mouth bleeds, but try to find a consensus. At the end of the day, I've seen, especially over this Rona thing, I've seen so many friendships break apart because one friend had the opinion that the Rona was totally dangerous, and the other person was more, in the tinfoil hat battalion, trying to convince them that there's something really bad going on, and in another way, right? And that downplaying the disease, let's put it that way. And while, I don't know, not even a decade ago, that was unthinkable, right? In that, it's like you were friends, you had different opinions. Yeah, and let's move on, right? Let's get on with our lives and let's go drinking and, socializing and partying and whatever. And that's really, where you have to kind of find your middle ground, especially if you're talking about and with friends. It's like, yeah, you can have your opinion, because opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one. But, it's not about defending it until, like I said, your mouth bleeds, or whatever metaphor there is, right? And that's, but still, if you have something that you believe in, fight for it. Stand up, defend your position against opposition, and then, you'll be good to go and on your best way out of the victim mentality. So who do you know that suffers from this? Have you found people with one or more of the symptoms that I just outlined? Please share this episode of the podcast with them. If you haven't subscribed, we publish daily, noon GMT, with, always content to, develop your personality, get to a degree of personal supremacy. There we go. Seriously, though, subscribe to the podcast, share this episode with, friends or family that are suffering. I know I've been kind of taking it a bit lightly because if you've gone down this route, it's very difficult to get back. But help them, assist them, and, make them happy campers again. In that sense, have a good day. And if you've had your successful day, have a successful night. And we'll be back tomorrow when it is Exercise Friday. And we're going to talk about something radically cool. Forgot what it is. We're going to talk about embracing imperfection. So, if you're imperfect, and hey, big secret, everyone is, tune in on Friday or tomorrow when we're going to exercise that and figure out ways on how to embrace imperfection. See you tomorrow, guys. Peace out.